Funding for this video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you.
With over 1,000 monsters to choose from in D&D, it can be hard to know which ones to use, and even harder to know how to play them. What weapons do they favor? What tactics would they use? How do they interact with other types of monsters? These are all questions that can come up to DMs that are looking to make their combats more enticing for their players. It's certainly one that I struggled with. That's why I'm back today with another monster breakdown for D&D. Hello again everyone, I'm Bill from AltRoll, and today I'm going to dive into a brief history of a D&D creature, how that history was adapted into 5th edition, and how this lore can help game masters make their combat encounters better. So, whether you're here for the cool lore breakdown or for the combat tactics, I'm hoping to give you a lot more to chew on when it comes to the monsters we face in D&D. For episode 20, let's reach into our bag of goblinoids and look at the Bugbear. The Bugbear is a mythological creature from English folklore that didn't really have a set definition. In the Middle Ages, Middle English used the word bug to refer to various spooky creatures that inspired fear or dread, or something that was irritating. At some point, the word was combined with the other word, bear, as in the animal, to form the word bugbear. It retained its original purpose as referring to any supernatural creature, or any irritating thing, but as the years went on, it became a term for specifically referring to goblins or hobgoblins, as well as a creature in of itself. Created by Gary Gygax for the Greyhawk supplement in 1975, bugbears were originally described as great hairy goblin giants. Standing at a muscular 7 feet tall and weighing around 300 pounds, their skin ranged from light yellow to yellow-brown in color, and were covered in brown or red hair. Compared to their goblin cousins, they did not fear bright sunlight, but were slightly less intelligent and used cruder weaponry. Their standout feature was the bugbear's ability to move very quietly, making it easier for them to sneak up on opponents. 2nd edition expanded further on the bugbear, making their art a little less silly, but also establishing that their sight, hearing, and sense of smell are all said to be superior to that of humans, further aiding their ability to ambush unsuspecting foes. Living in caves or underground caverns, bugbears would survive by hunting in the immediate area around their lair. Largely carnivorous, they'll eat anything they can kill, including their goblin cousins if they anger them. Other than obtaining food, the only other goal bugbears have in life is to gather treasure. When not hunting, bugbears will be on the lookout to ambush unwary adventurers or trade caravans, seeking to increase their stockpile of coins, gems, and weapons picked from their victims. Bugbears remained a staple in further editions of D&D, though their expansive lore required few updates. 3rd edition moved the bugbear from being a large creature to a medium creature, but also increased their intelligence to be equal to the average human. This, in turn, reinforced their affinity for ambushes, stating that bugbear attacks are coordinated and their tactics are sound, if not brilliant. This makes them well suited as scouts or spies for larger forces, serving that role within the ranks of hobgoblin armies. 4th edition didn't really change much, instead giving us 4 variants of the bugbear to work with: the bugbear thug, the bugbear warrior, the bugbear backstabber, and the bugbear strangler. While the strangler did allegedly cause some fighting amongst the edition warriors back in the late 2000s, each of them were outfitted with equipment and abilities that emphasized their strengths as ambush predators. In 5th edition, bugbears are described as hairy goblinoids born for battle and mayhem. They survive by raiding and hunting, but are fond of setting ambushes and flee when outmatched. Often found amongst their goblinoid cousins, bugbears will usually enslave goblins that they encounter and bully hobgoblins into giving them food and gold. In the absence of their goblinoid kin, bugbears will form loose war bands, each led by their fiercest member. This fierce aggression is also reflected in their worship of Hrugek, a lesser god who dwells on the plane of Acheron. Bugbears believe that when they die, their spirits have a chance to fight at Hrugek's side, thus defeating as many foes as possible during their life to prove themselves worthy. Their unruliness is counteracted by their sheer power and surprising stealthiness on the battlefield. Their love of carnage means they will fight for powerful masters if bloodshed and treasure are assured, which leads to their recruitment as scouts, spies, and ambush troops. When push comes to shove, however, bugbears will run away from combat when they start losing, leaving behind any compatriots who would slow them down. When abandoned in this way, a bugbear will do almost anything to save its life, such as bargaining with information or even helping pursuers track down its former companions. Now that we've examined their lore, let's pivot over to the bugbear's stat block to take a look at how they work mechanically. Starting at the top, we have their size, creature type, and alignment. Size in 5th edition defines the space a creature takes up in combat, with a medium creature taking up a 5 foot by 5 foot square or hex on a battle map. Using the 3.5 edition Dungeon Master's Guide, shown here, bugbears can be between 4 to 8 feet tall and weigh between 60 and 500 pounds. Their creature type is humanoid, with goblinoid in parentheses. Goblinoids are a family of related humanoids that make up hobgoblins, bugbears, and goblins. Alignment broadly describes a creature's general outlook on the world, and combines their moral beliefs with their attitudes toward society and order. The alignment of the bugbear is chaotic evil, meaning they act with arbitrary violence spurred by their greed, hatred, or bloodlust. Below that top bar are the rest of the bugbear's stats, which are essential for the Dungeon Master to play them in combat. The bugbear has an armor class of 16, 5d8 plus 5 hit points, or 27 on average, and a movement speed of 30 feet. I'll note that this armor class of 16 comes from the benefit of wielding a shield, and when wielding a two-handed weapon, the bugbear's armor class would be reduced to 14. Looking at their ability scores, the bugbear has 15 strength, 14 dexterity, 13 constitution, 8 intelligence, 11 wisdom, and 9 charisma. With 10 being average for an ability score, bugbears have high strength, dexterity, and constitution, average wisdom, and low intelligence and charisma. For their skills and proficiencies, the bugbear has a +6 to stealth, a +2 to survival, has dark vision out to 60 feet, has a passive perception of 10, speaks Common and Goblin, has a proficiency bonus of +2, has a challenge rating of 1, and awards 200 experience points when killed. In terms of special abilities, the bugbear has the Brute and Surprise Attack abilities. Brute states that when the bugbear hits with a melee weapon, it deals 1 extra die of that weapon's damage. This extra damage is already included in the damage calculations on the stat block. Surprise Attack states that if a bugbear surprises a creature and hits it with an attack during the first round of combat, the target takes an extra 2d6 damage from the attack. For offensive actions, the bugbear has a Morningstar attack and a Javelin attack. The Morningstar has a +4 to hit, a reach of 5 feet, and deals 2d8 +2 piercing damage on a hit. The Javelin has a +4 to hit, a melee reach of 5 feet, a thrown range of 30 feet normally and 120 feet at disadvantage, and deals either 2d6 plus 2 piercing damage on a melee hit, or 1d6 plus 2 piercing damage on a ranged hit. Lastly, we have their environment tags. When using digital resources, we can see that bugbears are commonly found in the forests, grasslands, and the Underdark. Now that we've gone through and sorted out their stat block, we can begin to relate the bugbear's lore and abilities to how we should be using them in combat encounters. Specifically, we're going to look at how they behave, how they would approach a combat situation, and how to get into the mind of a bugbear if you want to fight effectively as one. How do we do this? Well, we'll need to take the lore and stat block of the bugbear and compare that with how that information is intended, referencing tactics and interpretations from The Monsters Know What They're Doing by Keith Amon. Let's start by going through Amon's key assumptions one by one and relating them to the bugbear as we go. The first of Amon's assumptions is that most creatures want to survive, and if seriously wounded, will try to flee combat. Exceptions to this rule are fanatics or intelligent beings who believe they'll be hunted down and killed if they do flee. Seriously wounded can be subjective, but we can assume that threshold to roughly be 1/3 of the creature's health. With an average of 27 hit points, 1/3 of that would be rounded to 9. Given their self-centered and cowardly nature stated in their lore, it's safe to assume that if a bugbear were reduced to 9 hit points or fewer, it would immediately begin to flee combat. Next up, let's look at how their alignment can impact their thinking. On the scale of good to evil, good creatures tend to be friendly to others, whereas evil creatures are hostile to others. On the scale of lawful to chaotic, lawful monsters may try to capture or non-lethally subdue others, whereas chaotic monsters would just kill them. Since bugbears are chaotic evil, we know 2 major things about them. First, since they're chaotic, bugbears will try to kill their opponents unless ordered not to. Secondly, their evil nature on top of their natural aggression means that bugbears are going to be very hostile to other creatures. Continuing with their mindset, let's dive into some of their mental ability scores. Bugbears have an intelligence score of 8. With regards to intelligence scores of 8 to 11, Amon states, a creature with intelligence of 8 to 11 is unsophisticated in its tactics and largely lacking in strategy, but it can tell when things are going wrong and adjust to some degree. Being described as having human-like intelligence and a penchant for stealthy ambushes, this score seems rather low for the bugbear. This likely reflects the fact that once an ambush is sprung, the bugbear has no other tactics it uses beyond that, choosing to rush in and begin crushing any and every foe that it sees. Bugbears also have a wisdom score of 11. With regards to wisdom scores of 8 to 11, Amon states, a creature with wisdom of 8 to 11 knows when to flee but is indiscriminate in choosing targets. While bugbears may lack the cunning to target certain enemies over others, choosing instead to just charge whoever is closest to them, they do have a very developed survival instinct, and will begin to flee combat once it starts turning against them. Now that we've set up how they think, let's look at the bugbear's physical abilities that influence how they fight. Thinking like Amon, we can assume the following. Creatures with high strength focus on melee combat, and won't need to compensate with greater numbers. As such, they won't need to outnumber an enemy to be willing to take a fight. Creatures with high dexterity will prefer to attack with ranged weapons, and if it's intelligent, the creature may lay traps as well. Creatures with high constitution typically have a hit point advantage over their enemies, and because of that, they're less likely to hide in combat since they can soak up a couple attacks before going down. A creature with a feature that gives it advantage or gives its enemy disadvantage will always prefer to use that feature. To recap our earlier stat block examination, Bugbears have high strength, dexterity, and constitution. On top of that, they have a +6 bonus to their stealth rolls, and their abilities emphasize melee weapon attacks. Comparing that examination to the assumptions we put forward, we can deduce that Bugbears love to spring an ambush, and will use stealth and surprise to their advantage whenever possible. Once the ambush has been sprung, they'll close into melee to deal extra damage with their brute ability, though out-of-reach enemies will have to settle for a javelin to the face instead. The last major premise from Amon is that in D&D 5th edition, unless otherwise specified, any creature gets their full movement, 1 action, 1 bonus action, and 1 reaction, just like any player character does. Amon posits that any creature that exists within the game world will have evolved in accordance with this rule, and it will seek to obtain the best possible result from the action economy of the game. This means they will combine whatever movement, actions, bonus actions, and reactions are available to them for the best possible outcome. While they do have abilities that boost their damage, Bugbears don't have any innate bonus actions or abilities like extra attack that are going to boost their action economy. As such, the main way to maximize their effectiveness in combat is to rely on their ambushing qualities. If a Bugbear rolls stealth and beats a character's passive perception, that character will be surprised once combat breaks out, meaning they can't move or take an action on their first turn of combat, and can't take a reaction until that turn ends. Unfortunately for the Bugbear, however, this is always reliant on a dice roll, and characters with a high passive perception, or the alert feat, may find Bugbears to not be as dangerous as the other monsters they'll face. So, with all of these assumptions laid out and applied to Bugbears, what do we know about how to use them in combat? First, Bugbears are masters of ambush that lay in wait for prey to fall into their trap. Whereas goblins prefer hit-and-run tactics with ranged weapons, Bugbears will charge into melee and bash their enemies into a pulp, maximizing their damage with the brute feature. Second, while they're ferocious in combat, Bugbears are also rather cowardly, and will flee combat once it's clear that they're starting to lose. Should that happen, they'll dash away as quickly as possible, and if abandoned by their allies, will bargain or beg for their life. Third, in combat, Bugbears will use stealth to launch an ambush, then rush into melee with the closest target available. Once in melee, they'll use their Morningstar to bash their targets into submission, though they may use their javelins to hit enemies that are out of reach or trying to flee. Fourth, if reduced to 9 hit points or fewer, reduced to half their starting number, or if their leader is killed, a Bugbear or group of Bugbears will begin to flee combat. Their movement speed of 30 feet means they'll likely need the dash action to get away, risking attacks of opportunity so long as it means escaping with their life. Fifth, if Bugbears win a combat encounter, they're likely to kill their opponents outright, though they may defer to capture if under orders from an evil leader. Their temper can sometimes get the better of them though, and it's not uncommon for a Bugbear to toss an unwitting prisoner into the stew pot if they want to. With that, we come to the end of today's video on the Bugbear. Their high melee damage and stealth abilities make them great for ambushing unaware adventurers, even if it means they have the capability to one-shot lower-level party members. Their lack of follow-up abilities, however, means that Bugbears can sometimes come off as a one-trick pony, relying on them being mixed in with other goblinoids to keep encounters fresh. What I want to know is, what do you think of the Bugbear? Do you like using these big, furry brutes to ambush your party? Or do you think they don't have enough unique abilities or variants to make encounters engaging? You can let me know down in the comments, or you can discuss it on the Alt-Roll Discord using the link in the description. If you want to support the server, you can visit our Ko-fi link in the description to leave a one-time or recurring donation. And make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to be notified when our videos go live. However, that's all I had for you. Thank you all for watching, make sure to have a great rest of your day, and I'll see all of you next time.